So this is called the Canongate. So as I said earlier, the Royal Mile split up into different sections. So at the very top you've got Castle Hill, which is the entrance up to the castle. You've then got the Lawn Market, you've then got the High Street, and you've now got this section called the Canongate. It's one but last to the palace. Just up here on the left, you've got the old toll booth, you've got the Canongate Kirk. But you've probably noticed as we're driving down here, less and less shops. I mean, there are a few shops, but not as much as you get up on the Lawn Market. There's a few nice little shops down here that are worth visiting if you ever come to Edinburgh. But of course, right at the bottom here, we're heading down to the palace. And it is normally open to the public. The only time it's not open to the public is when the Queen or members of the royal family are in residence. However, presently it's not open to the public, as are all of the major visitor attractions in Scotland. They're not open at the moment because of the coronavirus. But this takes you down to the entrance of the palace. And the palace wasn't the first building down here. The first building was actually to the left of it. You can just see it through the gateway here. There is a building, just zoom in a little bit, just to the left there. That's Holyrood Abbey. That came about as a result of King David I back in the early 1100s. The story goes, how true it is, you'll have to make up your own mind. But he was riding down here when he was hunting, because the grounds the area that we're in at the moment used to be the royal hunting ground, and he was riding through the forest. He claimed that a huge stag rushed out from the undergrowth, charged at his horse, caused him to fall off the horse, and just as the stag was about to attack him and gore him with its antlers, he claimed that a flaming cross appeared from nowhere, and that saved his life, and he believed that this was God saving his life, and so he gave permission to the Augustinian monks to build their abbey down here. And so the abbey was the first building to be built. Alongside it they built their, let's call it their lodging house where the monks lived. But eventually in the late 1400s, King James IV decided he no longer wanted to live up in the castle, he wanted to live in his palace, away from the castle. So he took over the lodging house, started to build his palace. Unfortunately for him, in 1513, at war with England, he went down to the north of England where he met the English army on the fields of Flodden, and the Scots were defeated. He lost his life, and so the palace, its construction was left to his son, King James V. And if we just drive up here a little bit, get a little bit of a closer look at the palace. So this joins onto the palace grounds. This is the Abbey Strand. Was originally known as the Sanctuary. This is where debtors back in the late medieval period, if they'd got themselves into debt, they could seek sanctuary here, and they were allowed out one day a week on a Sunday to see their families, and this enabled them not to be sent to prison. Eventually that law was abolished, and you couldn't be imprisoned for your debts. And here again, back to the gateway at the palace. Looking back up the Royal Mile, and then over here we have the Scottish Parliament. And I know that I said on one of my previous videos that we signed away our Parliament in 1707, but in 1997 Tony Blair was elected Prime Minister, and he'd made a promise if he was elected that Scotland would get its Scottish Parliament back. So we elected our politicians, and then the politicians chose where they wanted to have a Scottish Parliament, and this was what they came up with. Not particularly popular, depending upon who you are, with a lot of people. Started out with a budget of £40 million for this, 3 years in which to get it built, and for whatever reason it was delayed, and because of the delays the costs shot through the roof. So what started out as £40 million and to take 3 years ended up taking 5 years and cost close to £410 million. I'm not going to say any more on that.